How's it going, everyone?
Howdy, howdy. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna put them in something and hope it works. Yeah. What's everyone up to today?
Refresh my Facebook and make sure it's all there. Yeah.
It is the holiday weekend or whatever.
It is. People starting to travel, go back home and all that.
Yep. Or they're just sitting at home enjoying all the Black Friday sales. I can get out of this. Boom. Yeah, I don't really have much news. Not much has happened this week in terms of my FPV side of things, at least. Ugh.
Yeah, I've got some videos for us to show. Here, I'll start off with this one by my other Canadian brother. The Terry Hootie doing a little DJI FPV flying.
How dare you have fun, Matt?
What?
Oh, it's really snowing out there, huh?
Yeah, they got a couple inches.
My buddy Frank, who works at one of the ski mountains, he posted today. He's like, first meeting of the annual summer tires club.
What? That's pretty cool. Like, wonder why I can't hear my music. There he is. What's up, Jimmy?
What up, Crazy Jimmy? I got yet another friend request from a profile that says Crazy Jimmy, so I'm either assuming he got hacked or he made a new account to post other stuff.
Could be.
Who knows anymore? Happy Thanksgiving to you too, bro.
That's crazy ass Jimmy's account. He said that is his.
Yeah, that's his new account. Got it. God, I love Crazy Jimmy. Well, Jimmy, it was only a matter of time before you made a profile name that.
Damn. 10,000 followers on TikTok.
Oh yeah, Jimmy's tape blowing up on TikTok, bro. He's ridiculous. And it's funny because he doesn't put any flight videos or anything on TikTok. It's all just him sitting there having a beer chit-chatting.
Nice.
His little live streams. It's fucking awesome. I don't use TikTok much, but when I do, I always end up seeing Jimmy. So I'm like, yeah.
The big oily guy.
Nice. Well, Jimmy, get the Thanksgiving bird in your hand first, and then come across here and we'll fly some. Alright? You know the girls miss ya.
That $125 monitor is a freaking hell of a deal.
Right?
Well, it's HD0 and analog.
Nice.
There you go, Dan. Jimmy's got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Best props for his 6S and 4S Diatone.
The freestyles? I would go with the T-Motor or Axis Flying 5x3x3s. They're pretty fucking smooth, so they should be good for any of them. 4S, I'd go for the Avan 4-blade scimitars. Big Oily Guy is one of the few pilots that still does those long, epic videos, and I'm totally here for it. I love it. You don't see that much anymore, and I miss it.
I mean, when we're showing him here, I skip through his talky parts.
Oh, I know. But, like, dude, that's, like, it's reminiscent of when I used to watch, like, TJ Williams and Sharpoo and all those guys, you know? Because they would always do the vlog while flying. Like, yeah,
but I think they usually kept them to under 10 minutes when they did.
Yeah, it was usually like 7 or 8 minutes, though.
The Big Oily Guy does these 15, 20-minute edits. And
yeah, but he usually does like 3 or 4 packs in it, too.
Yeah.
I get it, man. When I'm out flying a bunch of packs, I don't want to pick out like 3 minutes of footage, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and then you got to find good spots to cut clips and stuff like that too. So,
right? Oh, all right.
See, I think we know this guy.
You only get 4.5 minutes? That's a pretty good amount of time for most batteries. Most of us drone pilots would beg for 4.5 minutes.
Most drone pilot wives too.
Right? I was about to make that joke. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, my video. Nice.
I was going to say, I think we know this one.
Yeah, by the way, this was my shitty 25 milliwatt AIO camera on my Whoop. The really shitty like analog one, and it's crystal clear. Like, I could never get over that shit.
I mean, other than it being that nice fall gray color in Virginia. I mean,
right?
$200 gigawatts. Yeah, I need to fly to. My buddy Mike found a another RC club that set us aside a spot in the corner so we could leave a racetrack up permanently if we want to.
Oh, nice. That's always fun. Go.
Yeah, I like living in Northern Virginia. Kind of sort of got 4 seasons. The winters weren't too awful.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. I like it here.
I like living out in the mountains. It was freaking beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not that far north. I'm just down in Williamsburg.
Yeah, I did 13 years working in Manassas, Virginia. Manassas.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I used to live just west of Winchester, Jimmy. Oh, Winchester was awesome. The only thing that my ex didn't like about it was a small town, and if you did something stupid, the whole freaking town knew you did something stupid. And
Oh, yeah.
she had a tendency to do stupid things every now and again.
So did mine.
I guess, but. And this is Josh with his first snow of the year, he says, but I don't see any. Yeah, I used to work in Manassas, and I'd drive 78 miles one way to get home or to work, whichever way you're looking at it.
Yeah, Manassas is closer to me.
Yeah, it's close to DC. It's 30 miles west of DC.
Yeah.
Straight down 66. Damn, brother, 36 years married. Congratulations.
Damn. Yeah, and November 28th is Abigail's birthday. So, we got 2 celebrations, Jimmy.
It's I-66, not Route 66, Jimmy. I know a lot of people. But yeah, I used to go all the way out 66 till it ended, and then go north on 81, another 10 miles. And then take the 37 loop around the west side of Winchester, so I didn't have to drive through town.
Yeah, I don't know that side of Virginia too much. All I know is the route between Williamsburg and DC, where my parents live.
Yeah, we were off 522, about 10 miles northwest of Winchester and about 15 miles outside of Berkeley Springs, West Virginia.
Gotcha.
Oh, man.
Yay!
I got to do something about my hands. They're starting to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it's that season, man.
Well, I don't think it's more than the season. I've got severe arthritis and I got a couple bone spurs in my thumb and stuff. I really need to have surgery on it.
Oh, I know. It's just times like this in the winter, it tends to come out because of the weather, and joints and muscle aches tend to intensify a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, this is more than an ache, though. I mean, this is like I was holding a fork trying to cut a piece of pizza earlier, and freaking my fingers locked up.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, I had to like slowly set down the fork and then like use my hand to kind of unlock them.
I've been there. My tremor condition does something similar, and Allie's had to be like, "Put your phone down because you can't type." Like, my whole hand will just lock up, or like my finger will start twitching in one spot.
It really does, Jimmy. I used to do stupid shit like punch heavy bags with no gloves, like freaking martial arts workouts, motorcycles, freaking.
Yeah, but we all used to do that shit.
Yeah, I know. Every joint that I was thankful that I didn't break when I was younger is now hurting like I did break it when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. I know that pain too. Fuck. Dude, that was the thing. Like, I did so much, like, whitewater kayaking and stuff like that when I was doing search and rescue. But nowadays, if I were to get in a kayak, I wouldn't be able to stand up again. Like, my back can't handle it.
Yeah, Jimmy, I used to carry frickin' oil-soaked or creosote-soaked railroad ties out to help farmers put up fences. We're talking carrying them a couple 100 yards easy just to get them out where the holes were. And we had to dig the holes, but... Right? Yeah, I thought for sure I'd be gone by now. Dude, this commercial here, holy shit. I saw that the other day, and I had to go look it up again and watch it. All right, little Jev FPV. HD0 proxy flying. So he's got the HD0 Freestyle VTX.
Nice.
We're flying HD0 today. Now,
got a little DJI Osmo. What's up, Cicada? How you doing? Mr. Rob, welcome.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Cicada. How you guys doing?
Rough race day. I take it you broke some things. Yeah, my buddy Mike drove up to Dallas for the Street League race today. Oh, motor went out. That sucks. Night, Jimmy. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a safe trip up to PA.
Night, Jimmy, brother. Come across the river soon.
That bridge is toll bridge, yeah? The Bay Bridge?
Oh, the ferry's free.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And it runs 24/7, pretty much.
How long does its ferry take?
About 15, 20 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah. I go across all the time. My buddy Scott lives over there, and he lives in like Surrey.
Okay.
And he, whenever I go over to his place, I've even left there at like 11:30 p.m. and hopped on the next fucking ferry, which was at like midnight. And I got home probably about 12:30. So, yeah, dude, it's really not that long.
That's kind of weird. Rip Pup had a weird issue where someone plugged in and it bound to his ELRS. I thought there was bind phrases or something that you had.
There are for some. Some do auto binds. Like some of the whoops, you can't really set a bind phrase. You can just bind via Betaflight. Like any of the ones with the integrated boards, there's some, or integrated ELRS in the boards. There's some boards, especially things like Happy Model, that tend to just have binding available, open binding.
Yeah, but that, I mean, you should still. It shouldn't open bind it, like, except maybe the first time you open that up, though, right?
No, it does with. There's, Rob Eccles. He's in the chat right now.
Yeah.
I think it happened to him, and it happened to somebody else that I did a repair for. I set my the receiver to ELRS 3.3.0 Renegade as the bind phrase every single time. Like, I make that my standard just because it's easy. And then I sent Rob and I sent my other clients their drones back with that setup, and they flashed. I know that my other client just flashed his TX to Renegade as the bind phrase, but it didn't bind. But when he did have his bind phrase going prior to that, it bound. And I know Rob couldn't get his going at one point, and it just auto-binded. One of them auto-binded to his without even changing the passphrase, and the other one he had to swap the receiver out because he couldn't get it to bind.
That's fucking weird.
So ELRS sometimes will do that, and it's weird, but as long as you aren't plugging in at the same time and trying to load up at the same time, then that won't happen. If it's already locked onto a controller and flying, it's not going to happen if he just plugs in his controller, So don't worry about that. But it does happen when you're just starting up. Some of them will.
To me, that's weird. Right? Once it's been bound to something, it should look for that something, yeah?
Yes and no. It's not like Crossfire in that way. It will, that's why it does the bind phrase. because it'll keep an open source line, and anything with that bind phrase and that frequency will show up. If it's one that doesn't need a bind phrase, obviously it'll focus on the frequency. Whereas
right. He's saying this, it had the beta FPV crossboard and it had a bind phrase.
Yeah. So even as I said with Rob's one, I had my bind phrase set to the receiver, but when he plugged in his TX, it automatically bound and worked fine. But the other one with the exact same flash, the exact same bind phrase, he plugged in and couldn't get it to bind, and then reflashed it with his bind phrase, and it still didn't bind. So ELRS does have some bugs, and that could just be also in the version he has, because Cicada, if he's got 3.3.0 or higher up to 3.3.5, I think, then he might be dealing with a glitch. If he's working on a 4.0 series or the newer firmware, then yeah, 3.2, he very well could be dealing with just a glitchy bind. So that's something, that's why I do 3.3.0, because that was the first iteration of that glitch, and it was not really dealt with, but it only happens with very specific receivers and boards, I think. Try having him update to something beyond 3.3.5 or anything beyond 3.1, to be honest, should do it. But 3.3 is my favorite, and it seems to fix. That's the first iteration of when they started fixing that bug. So the fact that it happened with Rob's and one of my clients still was an issue because it's still on 3.3.0. But if he's on anything lower than that, he might be dealing with that issue. So just have him update shit. It's versions 3.3 and above, known minor issue. Yes. But he's working with one prior to that, so it does not have a known issue and no bug fixes to it. So at least anything above, it's a known issue and they know which boards it is. Thank you, Rob. That's very true. That's what I was trying to say, but I didn't have the right words to say that. They know about it and started fixing it at 3.3.0. Now there's a lot of newer firmwares. I think they're up to 4.1 or something, or 4. Even higher, I think. But there have been a lot of issues with those, and some receivers, like the old school JHE MCUs and some of the JEP-RC 2.0 ones are no longer compatible with the newer firmware. So I like to keep it in the 3s just because the 2.0 series can be flashed and they're not paperweights anymore. So keep that in mind. I'd say just jump up to 3.3 Cicada and it should be good to go. But make sure you match with TX flash as well. And anything you've got flashed prior to that in terms of receivers should still connect because 3.3 was backwards compatible. So it can read anything from 2.2 up. So any receivers that you have that came flashed with ELRS2 should work as well. Other than the JHE MCU ones, guys, JHE MCU is done. They're gone. They still have some products out there, but all of their ELRS stuff is no longer working, no longer able to be flashed. They're not even an option on the ELRS brand menu anymore. So, step away from JHE MCU if you're using any of their shit. I have 3 of their receivers that are now paperweights. I can't flash anything, can't even flash the DIY to it. So, watch out for that.
Man, I'm glad I'm still on Crossfire.
Now, for those wondering, Jumper has some new goody good that's super small coming out. Jeff Hardy is promoting that a lot, and it's kind of like the Radio Master Pocket, slightly bigger, but ELRS and long range as well. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Rob. Everybody's gear will be different. Mine, I seem to be happy with 3.3.0 on my stuff, and I've had issues with all the other ones I've tried to flash. Or found bugs, at least, I guess I'll say. But everybody's had a different sweet spot that they've liked. All of my clients have a different flash that they like to use. So find the one that works for you.
That's what I like about Crossfire. It just fucking works.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, once I found 3.3.0, dude, the Crossfire is easy, and I still have it. It's the response and the latency difference between Crossfire and ELRS that makes me solely fly LRS now. Like, I only still have my Crossfire for client builds that have Crossfire, so I can test fly them.
Yeah, I mean, all that, like, I've thought about going to ELRS, but so much of a fucking headache trying to find which ones are good, which ones are not, you know.
Honestly, with ELRS, I haven't found many bad ELRS units. There have been some companies that tried to jump in, fucked up, and then stepped out, like, as I said, JHE MCU. And I think TTMRCC or whatever it is, or TTMRRC or whatever the fuck that company is.
Not sure.
They are also one of those that dabbled and have products available that are ELRS, but the product is not available to be flashed on ELRS itself. So,
yeah, I'm glad that was easy, Rob. It should have been. Everything was working when I sent it to you. So.
Yeah, exactly. And see, that's the difference. Is they're different protocols, and Crossfire, I love it, but I had my own issues, if you recall, Matt, flashing Crossfire sometimes and dealing with that, like randomly just going out of update and not connecting, and then having to reflash everything, all my quads. Like,
once I learned how to do the factory reset on them, I always did a factory reset to base version, and then let the well, if it didn't bind up immediately, normally it did, right? Because Crossfire goes into auto, like on a brand new receiver, if it's not been bound, it goes into bind automatically when you power on.
When I would go out to events or fly days or whatever, I would never bring my laptop. I would bring like a tablet or something that I could connect to Betaflight or whatever. But I didn't want to bring my laptop or anything. I wanted to have all my quads ready. So when I'd be at home, I would plug in my quads, test hover, and then unplug them and put them in the bag to go. Like, make sure that everything was binding, flying, and all that. I would get out to these events or fly days, plug in, and 3 of my 4 quads wouldn't bind randomly. And I'd be like, I just fucking had them going. And that was my issue with Crossfire. It was when I needed it the most to work, it wouldn't. But in terms of range, in terms of fail-safes, I never got any fail-safes. I always had great range. But it was the binding issue that I could not fucking stand, and the constant updates that were always needed. I could not do it with Crossfire.
I never updated any of my shit other than when I had originally bind them. I never update my stuff.
Well, that was the thing. I never did
even my
either.
Crossfire transmitter is still on the same version it was when I first bought it.
Yeah, I never had to either until I started using multiple modules, because I had one in my Tyrannus and then one in my Jumper. And they were both flashed to the same version, but there was always some sort of non-communication going on between one or the other. And every time I'd go in, like, one receiver wouldn't show up in the TBS agent thing, and another one wouldn't hit Wi-Fi, and I was like, what the hell is happening? But that was just my own experience. And, like, as I said, functionality of them works great. Like, I love Crossfire and the protocol itself, but I did notice that I had more confidence with, like, throttle response and turning, like, response and everything like that when I was using ELRS. Everything just seemed slightly more in tune and quicker. And, like, I'd recover faster from tricks. I wouldn't second guess myself every time I'd go around a bush and dive through a gap. And I don't know why. It could have been a mental thing, but to me, even though I'm not a racer and I'm not as attuned to that sort of thing, it felt a lot faster. And that's why I switched. Like, I went to ELRS and I kind of never looked back.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that you're flying whoops, and if they've got boards with built-in ELRS, it makes sense.
Yeah, but that wasn't my motivation for it. When I started flying ELRS, they didn't have integrated ELRS boards yet. It was still all FR Sky and bullshit like that. And so I was still going with the nano receivers and shit stuck in my fucking Whoop boards.
That's weird, the range, especially if you're flying away from yourself, because on I believe on the Mutiny, your Crossfire receiver is hanging off the back behind the bottom carbon.
Yeah, that's the thing, Rob. I found that too. So
thanks, Takeda. I appreciate it.
Crossfire, I do not get the range that I do with ELRS. My Crossfire LQ and all that and RSSI would plummet by the time I would get like a couple blocks away. Like, you guys know, I like to cruise down my neighborhood street and all that. So I would get a couple blocks away, and yeah, I usually get video interference on the floor, but
what the fuck?
My RSSI would go, and it would start to drop really quickly once I would get a certain distance away. With my ELRS, I can make it 4 or 5 blocks, and like to the point where my video is pretty much nothing. And I can barely see and have to crash land it, but my ELRS still has most of its connection. Like, and that's the thing that I've been dealing with. Like, I'm more confident flying down the walking trail in the woods. I'm more